about the gifts of the Holy Spirit that can help you defend the faith. What are some teachings of the church that you feel are maybe under attack or ridiculed?
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay, so Mary and her place in our lives in worship. We're not going to try to answer these right now, so don't feel like you have to have an answer that makes you shy to answer. Just
having to confess to a person because it's
okay, having to confess to a priest rather than to just offer a prayer to God for forgiveness.
The purgatory.
Oh, purgatory, yeah. Where does it mention purgatory in the Bible? How do we know we go to purgatory? Statues in the church.
What about some of the teachings, though, of the church, like that other Christians don't necessarily believe in?
I think we got one right.
Eating of the body and blood of Christ, or figuratively, or whatever.
Yeah, it's that cannibalism. Mm-hmm. Yeah, eating the body and the blood of Christ. Yeah, is that cannibalism? That's different.
Also to do with
Is it really the body and blood of Christ? Yeah.
about priests not being able to get married. I got a lot of those questions.
Let me throw something to you. I've had a career in sales, okay? And some of you, and it's a really cool thing. But one of the things I've learned is that when people question about something, the last thing you want to do is get a chip on your shoulder. They're attacking me. They don't like what I do. Take it as a question. Okay, take it as they're seeking information. I was riding around with a very close friend who I work with who's Presbyterian, and we started talking about all the things we have in common, which is a good place to begin. We all say the Lord's Prayer to our Father, right? We all believe in the Trinity. We all believe in the Old Testament. We all believe in the New Testament. We all believe in the resurrection. We all believe in heaven. A lot of things we Christians believe together, right? Which is really good, really powerful. So you think about the things we have in common are far greater than those things we don't have. But he had the same question about why do you have to confess your sins to a priest? And I thought for a minute, and he wasn't attacking me. Now I could easily get a chip on my shoulder and say, here goes. He's going to let me have it. And I just said, well, Mark, let me ask you this. If I came to your church Sunday and wanted to be baptized, could I just do it myself? And he said, no. And I said, well, maybe you could baptize me. If I got some water, could you baptize me? And he said, no, you'd have to see my minister. And he said, I got to really think about this. So I said, so maybe a person can bestow the grace of God and has that. He goes, I don't want to talk anymore. I've got to think about this. So sometimes you can answer something. If you think about it, these are not attacks. I really believe people are not out to attack or persecute us, but they have questions sometimes. And it's a great opportunity to ask them what they believe, to share what we believe, but also to find those things that we have in common. In the year 1170, this saint of the Catholic Church, Thomas Becket, had an experience where he had to renounce a lot of things that were very important to him. Thomas Becket was a counselor to Henry II of England, who was a very powerful king at that time. They were fighting the French, trying to get control of that part of Europe. And Thomas Becket was a priest. He was a knight. He led armies. He led an opulent lifestyle, very extravagant, very powerful, wore the armor. We talked about that in one of our last classes, right, about St. Francis, how cool that was at that time of chivalry. Well, he was appointed, Becket was appointed Bishop of Canterbury. And when this happened, Henry VIII, who was a very close friend of his, said, man, now I'm going to control the church. Now I'm going to control the church. This is really, really good. And Thomas Becket had this enlightenment moment where he said, you know what? I'm to lead the people. I'm the shepherd of Christ on earth. So he renounced all of his worldly possessions, and he led a very penitential life. And he told King Henry, I don't think so. You know, the church is here, and your kingdom is over here. Well, some of the bishops decided that they were going to go along with Henry because it would be a lot easier, and they would keep their head where it belongs above their shoulders. And Thomas Becket excommunicated him. So Henry had him murdered in Canterbury. You probably heard that story. But when he was being called out, he said, you know, I've renounced the world, and it is better for me to die in Christ. So he led a life as an example. He defended the faith for us. So we're going to show you different examples of Paul and Terry and I tonight of how this happened throughout history. Next.
All right, everyone. Next semester, we are going to teach you in detail the gifts of the Holy Spirit, but we have all talked about them throughout this semester, and you're all divided up into groups, divided up by the gifts of the Holy Spirit. The theme tonight is defending the faith. Which of the gifts, 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit, do you think really help us when we are defending our faith? Courage. And before we need courage, what do we need?
Understanding.
Understanding. What else? Wisdom. Knowledge. Exactly. And I see it as sort of a 2-step process. We need things like wisdom and knowledge and understanding to sort of know what we're doing. How can you defend something if you don't know about it? You need information to do that. And hopefully throughout these lessons you're gaining more information. But once you have that information, which gift really can come into play? Say it. Say it louder.
Courage.
Louder.
Courage.
Okay, better. Courage. Why would we need courage to defend the faith? Yeah, you're on fire. You're falling asleep already. Go ahead.
Well, because if you're shy and you don't want to talk about it, nobody will know. And if you know a lot, you can't share much.
And we need courage because sometimes defending our faith might not be the popular thing to do. We may need to stand up to people. Why do we have Joan of Arc up there?
She died for her faith.
How did she die for her faith?
She was murdered by, I think it was
She was fighting for the friend.
Well, yeah, and then like somebody
Somebody double-crossed her? Exactly. She was burned at the stake and charged with heresy. Do you want to add something about Joan of Arc?
She courageous in the way that she led an army, and she was a woman.
Yeah. Anybody know how old she was when she was killed? About 19 is what people think. So she had a lot of these gifts of the Holy Spirit, especially courage. Ready for now? Hey, we're in for a treat to hear Paul teach us a little bit.
So right here, unfortunately, we got to start you off with a packet, which is actually not bad. We got a little article on it here. If in your groups, you'll read about Jeremiah right quick, and then I'll kind of summarize it for you. We'll talk a little bit.